on the set today, we are very excited because we have a very special guest. Her name is Roselyn Wanjiko. Now, Roselyn is a graduate of University of Nairobi, and she's both a psychologist and a sociologist. Her main focus being mental health and spiritual wellness. So, Roselyn, welcome to our show.
Thank you very
Feel
much. Ede.
much at home.
Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. So, before we get to our topic, I want us to get to know a little bit about you. Tell us where you grew up and basically what made you study psychology.
First
Yeah.
of all, I'd like to say hi to your viewers
Yes,
and
please.
to thank you for having me.
Karibu sana.
I am very much honored.
Mhm.
So, I grew up from a place called
Uh-huh.
it's in Kiambu County in
Yes.
Kabete,
Yes.
and I've been raised by a single mom,
Wow.
and I'm an only child.
Wow.
But again, I didn't an only child
Yeah.
because I grew around so many of my cousins. In fact, when I was younger, I used to think they're my siblings.
Yeah.
I still do because of how we've related.
Yes.
So yeah, and of course my grandma was also there.
Ah.
So it's the way people say it takes a village.
To raise
For
a
me,
child.
literally. For me, literally, that has been me.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I went through the normal learning system.
Mhm.
And then, but when I was very young,
Yeah.
because I had you ask about my educational background, especially in psychology.
Yeah.
When I was very young, I was a very verbal child. I used
Outspoken?
to, very outspoken. But in environments where I was familiar with,
Okay.
not new environments,
Yeah.
just environments where I was familiar with.
Okay.
And I remember when I was a very little girl, I used to study my mom a lot. Every time she used to come home, I'd ask, how was your day?
Yeah.
And I was just a little girl at the time.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, you look like you're not okay today.
Wow.
You know, so, I mean, from that very young age and growing up, having my friends in school,
Yeah.
I just used to find myself in a place where they used to come to me for advice.
For real.
For real, like just naturally. I don't
Yeah.
even know how we got there.
Yeah.
But I remember influence her because I'm
Did
like,
you
if she's
ask
not
those
talking about
questions?
it, why
Yeah,
do
yeah.
I want to talk about it?
Absolutely.
You know, so until I grew up and now we could talk about some of these things and I could express it in a mature way, maybe.
When you became a teenager, that's when you started to talk about those.
Not even a teenager.
Young adult?
Yeah, a young
Okay.
adult. That's
Okay.
when we started having those conversations.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even from me, it was from her.
So she felt you needed to know.
Yeah, we just talked about it. It just came out naturally,
Okay.
actually.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I never really felt the need to ask.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is amazing.
a perfect job.
So
Always present.
when I was in high school,
Yeah.
I wanted to know who my father was. You never got to the point where you wanted to know who your father was.
I think for me, it wasn't really a priority.
Serious?
Because, yeah,
Yeah.
I think because I wasn't lacking in anything particularly that
Yeah.
made me feel like maybe if my dad was here.
Was your mama disciplinarian? Was she tough
Oh,
on you?
yes.
She would.
About in school. I naturally, I don't like being contained
Okay.
in a very open, even with younger boys now, that's just an experience, just one of the extraordinary experiences that you
Yeah.
might have.
Majority of us,
Yeah.
to be quite honest, are not even aware that we're supposed to be self-aware.
You know?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
That your actions, your thought, and everything you did should really be in harmony. It should. Would you say that the reason why they struggle with things like low self-esteem, inferiority complex, is because again they are not self-aware? Is there a relationship between low self-esteem, inferiority complex, and lack of self-awareness?
There is definitely.
Yeah.
But again, I say, one time I studied something called agency. It's a theory that uses that agency, and then there's other agents of socialization, like themselves.
Yeah.
Right? So, because of this freedom, sometimes it's becoming unhealthy. Because now what is informing the Gen Z is celebrities.
Yeah.
They see like the lifestyles that they're living,
Influencers.
influencers, but they don't know the background story.
Exactly.
You know, they don't know what did this person do to get here.
Yeah.
They don't know the story, and it's dangerous to see the glory.
They want to trend, they want to go viral, they want their faces to be plastered everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, that fame comes at the expense of who they are. Do you know most celebrities in America? So you mentioned this generation are being nurtured by phones, and their parents what, baby boomers? Are they baby boomers?
They are baby boomers and Generation X.
X, isn't it? Eh? So during that time, social media was not,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You know, before you get to the reward. So what happens with the parents, the people that are parenting Gen Z?
Yeah.
They want their children, those basic values that should be there 24/7.
So this is amazing. Sorry to cut you short.
it's okay.
So if
The values are not solid. That's why now we have psychologists coming up, you know, and they're very vocal.
yeah,
They're out there and they are speaking truths. And we have spiritual leaders who are solid.
yeah,
We know that right now we also have spiritual leaders who are not solid, and it's heartbreaking.
yeah, who that person is dating, but very few of us really know about the current events. You get what I'm saying? Yeah? If you ask an average young man, you say, "What is your personality?" They'll say, "What is that?"
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah? And they don't even know their personality test you can take to get to know, are you melancholic? Are you choleric? They are very much that ignorance
Yeah.
is costing them a lot, because again they tend to make poor choices and poor decisions. Eh? So the disconnect in parenting, I see it a lot, because when I look at you and I heard your media, and you are on YouTube,
I am.
Roslyn Wanjiku
Official,
Official,
yes.
isn't it? Eh?
Yes.
And also you are on Instagram
Yeah, I am.
as what?
Very vibrant.
The designated
The
therapist.
designated therapist. The designated therapist.
Yeah. Which other social media platform are you on?
I'm on Facebook as Roslyn Wanjiku.
Okay.
Yes.
So all this content is out there.
It is out there
Fantastic.
for free.
Awesome.
Because if you have a one-on-one session with me,
Yeah.
that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Because I'll be charging.
True.
But imagine, just for the sake, yani, because I see the urgency.
Yeah.
The urgency in offering this content.
Yeah.
And for it to be widespread, I do it freely.
So again,
You
take
really
us
have
through
to.
that journey.
I love that because
Yeah.
now, apart from that passion of Christ thingy,
Yeah.
when you talk about self-awareness, remember, now you understand yourself better.
Yeah.
And when you're getting into relationships, there are things like boundaries you have to put into place. And this is why self-awareness is important, first
Yeah.
of all.
Yeah.
Because one, you learn how to put boundaries.
Yeah.
You learn how to be an independent person first
Yeah.
before you go and interact with other people.
Yeah.
So validation is not being sought from external environment.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Yes. So, but for you to put up this is what limits most people from getting there.
People don't like things that come.
Be limiting some types of foods
Yeah.
for yourself.
Yeah.
It is a journey, it is a process. The end goal or the reward is so sweet, but the process is crazy.
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So even for self-awareness, you have to work your mental muscles. You have to work your spiritual muscles.
True.
So that is what makes the statistics that depressing.
Yeah.
But I keep encouraging people and telling people, what's the point of a short-term process that is not enduring fruit?
Yeah.
What is the point? I mean, there is grace for you
Yeah.
to go through the long-term process,
Yes.
but end well.
True.
You know,
I agree totally.
the Bible says the end of things is better than the beginning of things.
Yeah.
So it only takes, and you know, it's like the effort a plane would take while flying, but once it's on air, then it just flows.
That is amazing.
It's the same thing with self-awareness.
That is absolutely amazing, because again, what you're saying is when a Boeing 747 is taxiing off the runway, it takes distance, it
Yes.
takes time, as opposed to a helicopter.
Yeah.
A helicopter will just float, yeah.
You know?
But once the Boeing is maybe 30,000 feet up in air, it cruises. You get it? So the effort is in taking off,
Yes.
but then you go farther, you go higher. There's something you mentioned, I want to go back to it,
Yeah.
which is key. You talk about seeking validation from external sources. And that is very rampant.
Yes.
And that's why you find even some people end up in toxic relationships because you are so empty on the inside. You seek validation from what he says, what she says, what he does, what she does, that even if it is abusive or toxic, you don't really mind as long as you're being validated because you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So people who suffer from poor self-esteem, inferiority complex, poor self-image, most of them, they lack self-awareness, so they seek validation from other people. Which, in the journey of self-awareness, you have to get to the point whereby you self-validate yourself.
Absolutely.
I am beautiful as a young girl. Even before he tells me I'm beautiful, I know I'm beautiful. You get what I'm saying, yeah? You have to know that I am equipped with the knowledge and the skills that is necessary to take me to where I need to be. So, for example, let's say you're going for an interview.
Yeah.
In an interview, surprisingly, they don't really look at your portfolio per se. They want to talk to you, rapport with you. So if you project confidence,
Yes.
if you project, just having the skill they're looking for, you are confident, you are self-aware, they will hire you primarily based on your ability to project confidence.
Yes.
But you may have all the right credentials on paper, but if you're timid
Exactly.
and you bite your nails and you stammer, they're like, your paper look good, but
But
you get what I'm saying?
what you're
Yeah.
projecting.
So when you know who you are, and you've mentioned it, that our validation as Christians comes from Christ,
Yeah.
then your self-awareness allows you to be even more confident. Because again, this brings us to this point.
Yeah.
The importance of self-awareness is it helps us make better decisions, that's one, and it gives us more confidence.
Exactly.
Isn't it? So people who lack self-awareness, Rosaline, they make poor choices and
They do,
decisions.
they
Isn't it?
do.
Why is that?
You see, like I said before, external validation is not lasting.
It's temporal.
It's temporary because, for example, you might validate me
Yeah.
based on what you hope to get from me.
Now you bring another angle there.
Yes,
So
not
based
because of
on-
what I really am.
Yes.
It's based on
What I
what you
want
will benefit from it.
Yeah.
And again, if for example you're self-aware
Yeah.
and I am not, it's easy for you to detect that.
Very.
You know?
And I can even actually manipulate you to my advantage. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as that bit of manipulation is seen so much in relationships, so much in workplaces.
Yeah.
People easily manipulate you because you're not able to stand your ground.
Yeah.
Because you didn't take time to build on the inside,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So if somebody comes and tells me I'm beautiful, I just take it. If somebody comes and tells me I'm ugly, I just take it because I don't know who I am
Yeah.
unless I'm told.
Yes.
You see, there's something called hierarchy of needs, and that theory was created by Abraham Maslow,
Yeah.
and he talked about the growth of a human being
Yeah.
and their behavior
Yeah.
and the things that influence the behavior of a human being.
Yeah.
So at that point where there's self-esteem needs, he talks about two types of self-esteem, one that comes from the inside and one that comes externally. But he says the fundamental one is the one that comes from the inside.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing wrong with me appreciating
Yeah.
your skill.
Yeah.
But if you don't see it yourself, it's not going to help you at the end of the day.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, because you're only going to go as far as the environment around you allows you to go.
Yeah.
But when you have it inside of you, you believe it inside of you that for real, I am called for this task. I shape perspectives, and that is for sure, and nobody can take that away from me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who I'm encountering.
Yeah.
There is that confidence already that is within me. So when somebody comes and tells me externally, it will just be an icing on the cake.
You already
It's
know.
fine, that's good.
I know who I
I
am.
already know. I'll
Yeah.
just be humble, yes. I'll appreciate, but because I already know, nobody can take it away from me.
That is amazing because I tie it in with your story. Now, you grew up in I call it a functional home.
Yes.
There was love, there was care, there was affection, there was attention. You were allowed freedom to express yourself. Now, picture this. A child grows up in
Yes.
a dysfunctional home whereby they are called all manner of names, they are never validated, the parent places emphasis on their mistakes instead of their strong points. Because that child is not mature enough to know what internal validation is, that child depends on the external validation of the parent. So what happens, that child grows up
Yeah.
and he or she grows up to be a people pleaser because they are bringing is The only way I'm validated is if I do what they tell me to do.
Yes.
That child growing up, unless there's a paradigm shift, he or she will grow up being a people pleaser. They will never really truly be happy. They will never really truly know who they are, because again, their validation does not come from the inside, because you mentioned internal validation and external validation, and you said internal is more important. So there are many people who've grown up in such an environment whereby they were never affirmed, and they grew up in a very toxic environment. So their only source of validation is if they do something. So if they don't do something, then they feel bad. They feel insufficient. And do you know there are grown-ups today?
Oh, yes.
They are so gifted, so powerful, but because they don't know what you know, they are being manipulated and taken advantage of. What breaks my heart, Rosalind, and I'll share this. Have you ever seen some of the young girls maybe who sell their bodies on the street?
Yeah.
Have you seen how beautiful they are?
Yes.
They're so beautiful, and you look at them, you're like, my God, why? You get what I'm saying? But then we see the shell, but we don't see the inside of that person. On the inside, they are broken. On the inside, they are they lack a positive self-image. So the necessity of self-awareness creeps in. It creeps in, and this is a conversation we need to be having, not only on a psychological perspective, but even on a spiritual platform. So one of the things I'm a big advocate for, I believe these are my views.
Yes.
They don't have to agree with it. I believe every pastor, every vicar, every reverend should take a basic psychology class.
They should.
Isn't
They
it?
really should.
Yeah, because psychology is study of the mind and human behavior.
Yes.
There are things you can pray about, but there are other things that comes in through knowledge.
Yes, it's true.
Do you
I
concur?
agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's so sad. That's why I told you it is so sad when the people who've been put at the forefront
Yeah,
of being influencers
yeah,
and teachers
yeah.
are going wayward.
True.
You know, they're not investing their time in acquiring knowledge
Yeah.
and knowing the truth
Yeah.
that should set people free.
Yes.
Because if, for example, Edwin, you, with your psychological knowledge, choose to use it to destroy, you easily can.
Of course.
Because you are higher than a normal human being
Yeah.
in terms of understanding the human mind.
Yeah.
So, absolutely, I agree with you when it comes to pastors studying
Yeah.
basic psychological knowledge.
Yeah, just basic.
Because they need to be able to talk to these people who come and, you know, attend their churches. And like I mentioned before, the issue of self-awareness is an issue of agency,
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Many things come into play
yeah,
to allow people to grow in
Yeah.
a functional way.
yeah,
So if the family has failed,
yeah.
there is also church.
True.
And when people stand in their position, things will get going, things
Yeah.
will move.
Yeah,
Right now, for example, I handled a case where a certain girl wanted to commit suicide.
yeah,
And when I talked to her, the issue was that her mom, she likes to talk about her daughter with other women out there, you know, tainting her name,
yeah,
instead of being a safe space for this daughter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
instead of, yani, msichana, she's trying to talk to the mom
yeah,
with the things that she's going through, trying to, you know, look for a safe space to be
Yeah.
able to vent.
true.
But what is the mom doing? Exposing her to other people, which is ridiculous to me.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because I'm like, if your own mom is exposing you,
Yeah,
who else will hold space for you?
exactly.
You know, so parents need, first of, if there's one thing I'm solid about,
Yeah,
is millennial parents need to know that they cannot run away from God,
absolutely.
and teaching their children the ways of God,
Yeah,
because that's where it begins.
yeah,
I have mentioned Abraham Maslow, and this is how that theory looks.
Yeah.
So there's the physiological needs, water, food, shelter.
Yeah.
But below that, for me, is the spiritual need.
absolutely.
That's where for me it begins.
Yeah,
Because if you don't know the very source of your life,
Yeah.
how else will you know every other thing?
exactly.
You know, so parents are failing,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah,
Church leaders are failing,
yeah,
and they need to come up. They need to come up and do what role they have been asked to
they
do.
need to up their game.
They need to up their game.
Yeah.
You know, people say you can easily talk to a church leader, Edwin, and what they'll tell you is, this is my life, I have my relationship with my God, yet you're a leader. You know, you're salt and light.
True.
Your leadership will be tested.
True.
You will be if you have placed yourself in a position of leadership,
Yeah.
you must be questioned.
Absolutely.
That's why you even see our political leaders coming to media houses because of accountability.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the people who are in leadership positions are feeling in accountability.
You know, that is important, because one of the things I've seen, and you mentioned it twice now in our show, that when you look at the spiritual leadership, not all,
Yeah.
but some, let's say, for example, Shakahola,
Yes.
the massacre, it's crazy, yeah? So you realize there are people who will go to a church to be prayed for, to cast out a demon, but
Yeah.
really what that person is facing is trauma.
You know?
You get what I'm saying, yeah? It's not, he or she is not demon possessed,
No.
but they don't design it as trauma. It could be PTSD.
Yes.
It could be something else. And if, let's say, that spiritual leader had that knowledge, they'll be able to design and say, you know what? You don't need prayers. You need therapy. You get what I'm saying? Because when you look at the diversity of Jesus Christ, when you look at his disciples, they were fishermen,
Yes.
but Luke was a physician. You see how diverse
Yes.
God is, eh? So he's bringing people of knowledge, people of skill into the fivefold ministry gift, because we need it,
We need it.
isn't it?
Yeah, all
It
round.
plays a role. He's bringing someone who's good in the marketplace, doctors, nurses, because we need that understanding so
Yeah.
that we can be wholesome. So there's a scripture that says, study to show thyself approved, a workman that need not be ashamed, rightly dividing the. So study to show thyself up. Luke was a physician. When you look at Paul, he was a Jew, also he had a Roman citizenship.
Well,
He was
and
fluent.
Paul, he's my
Yeah.
favorite. I think he's my favorite Bible character.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
He was very, he understood the law of Moses.
Yes.
He understood government. That's why God could place him in position whereby he would speak before
Yeah.
foreign Gentile leaders
Place of influence.
and be able to present himself.
Yeah.
Because again, the more diverse you are, the more you become.
Resourceful.
I love that. You become resourceful. Yeah. So this conversation of self-awareness is critical.
It is.
So think of it. If churches would have forums whereby they would invite Rosalie
Yeah.
and just empower people on self-awareness, isn't it? Imagine the kind of personal development and growth will take place on the
Mind blowing.
it will be mind-blowing.
Yeah,
because-
mind-blowing.
and the more the congregation are equipped, the more effective they are, the more easy it is for the pastor, isn't it?
Actually, we were having a conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm part of the committee for our English service, and
So
so,
where do you fellowship? Sorry, I didn't mention that.
ACK,
Oh, where?
Kanyariri.
Oh,
Yes,
fantastic.
yes,
Yeah.
St. Joseph's Kanyariri.
Yes.
And we were having a meeting,
Yeah.
and we are just talking about ways on. I'm sorry to preempt
Yeah, it's okay. It's
what
all
was
right.
happening in our meeting,
Yeah.
but we were talking about ways of improving our English service, and people brought up issues like financial empowerment, financial literacy, where we bring people who come and talk about finances.
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing that's causing depression, is
Exactly.
how money is just not sticking with us.
True.
And probably sometimes people are actually earning,
Yeah.
but how to save this money so that
Yeah.
it can work for you, people don't have an understanding.
Absolutely.
We were talking about mental health awareness. So the church should be all-rounded,
Yeah.
because that's even God's intention.
Yeah.
In the Bible, they are very clear about people are gifted differently. If you're an encourager, do it. If you're a giver, do it. If you're
Yeah.
a teacher, teach with
Yeah.
diligence. So, I mean, all-roundedness is an important thing. And that's why I'm saying people should stand in the. I feel like the society falls apart because somebody somewhere is not doing what they're supposed to
They're
do.
sleeping on their job.
They're sleeping on their job.
Yeah.
They are not taking time to invest in their calling,
Yeah.
to invest in their giftings.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not their fault at the end of the day, but those who know better need to do better.
What you said is key. Think of it this way. When you look at the enemy and the way he's attacking this generation, through LGBTQ, we're going to do another show with you.
Yeah.
We're going to tackle LGBTQ. Through LGBTQ, same-sex relationship,
Yeah.
through drugs and substance abuse, all kinds of perversion, liberal views that are not consistent with conservative
Yes.
values. And he's using men of influence and affluence, celebrities, doctors and nurses to push that agenda. So the church likewise needs to tap into all these
Yeah.
fields doctors and nurses and people in financial literacy and government civic education, so that we empower the church, so that we may know who we are, what our rights are, what our privileges, what we can do, what we can. Because unless we up our game, we'll always be on the receiving end of the enemy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look at the people the enemy uses
Yeah.
to push for real,
Yeah.
isn't it? He's upping his game, and he's causing a major impact, influencing this generation the wrong way. So even us as a church, we need to wake up. Let me
We
give you
have
the
no
analogy,
choice.
right? You remember the Bible says Pharaoh gave a decree that every Hebrew child should be
Should
killed.
be killed, yes.
And the means was what? Throw them into the river Nile,
Yeah.
right? Because they are crocodiles, eh? But look at the wisdom of God. He shows up, and Moses' mother has a
You
child,
know?
and she places him in the same river.
Yeah.
So my point is this, Rosalind. What the enemy is using to destroy this generation, we can flip the script and
It can
use
be
it,
used
because
for good, yeah.
the same river birthed a deliverer.
You know?
So we can use TikTok,
I like that.
Instagram,
Yes, yes.
YouTube,
That's what I keep saying, honestly.
such platforms to empower this generation with knowledge and understanding, so that again they can make informed choices and
Yes.
informed decisions. So what you're saying is very, very, very key, and I'm loving I'm loving the show. You're enjoying it.
Absolutely. Completely.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
So, again, how does self-awareness affect our relationship? We've tackled that a little bit, and I just want to share with you 3 pointers. You can jump in and
Yes.
share your thoughts. One way is it helps us to be more aware of other people's feelings and how our actions impact them. So the more self-aware you are more aware of my feelings and how
Yes.
your actions. Do you know there are people who don't care what they do, what they say?
When I start talking about that, I'll take the whole day, because
Yeah.
just yesterday I was having a conversation with someone,
Yeah.
and I was talking about somebody who really talks recklessly, and it's ridiculous. Like, and it's because they're not aware of themselves. I read a
Yeah.
book by the name 48 Laws of Power, and I know it's kind of controversial when it comes to spirituality, but
Yeah.
sometimes I'm forced to read some of these things because I need to understand their both worlds,
True.
so that I'm able to influence proper.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So in the 48 Laws of Power, they talk about different individuals, and they talk about one of the most dangerous human being is a simple human being. A person with no understanding. They just let it flow, you know. Where the wind blows, that's where they go.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a dangerous thing because, one, you offend people in the way you speak.
True.
You offend yourself because people do not take you seriously.
Yeah.
So self-awareness is just,
It is key.
it is
It's a major ingredient
it is
in
serious.
personal growth and
Yeah.
development. Yeah, isn't it?
And
eh?
even how you interact, just like you're saying,
Yeah.
how you interact, it positions you better for even opportunities.
True.
Because when you sit down with someone and you're having same conversations, they will want to have you around.
Absolutely.
And you know, the difference between a self-aware person and a person who's not self-aware is that you, who is self-aware, might not really need to force yourself into environments. Why?
Yeah.
Because they will need you,
Absolutely.
automatically need you.
Yeah.
And because you will be needed where you are equipped,
Yeah.
you will not feel the need to validate yourself.
Yeah.
But if you have not invested in knowing yourself, your strengths, your weaknesses, you can be positioned absolutely anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you go into an environment and you notice you're not equipped, so you will have bad days all your life.
Absolutely. And do you know, let me say this, Rosalind, because this is very key. Do you know when you meet someone, the first 5 minutes will make an impact on that person, whether he likes you or doesn't like you, or he give you the opportunity or not, or give you the
Yeah.
job or not. So the power of first impression is very key. For example, you come into the presence of a guy like Elon Musk,
Yeah.
or let's say, I don't know, Bill Gates or someone. When you open your mouth, the words that come out, that person will determine, do I need to spend time with this person or not?
Or not,
So
yes.
you may be equipped, skilled, but if you're not self-aware and you just say whatever comes out of your mouth, then you miss out on an opportunity. But when you have self-awareness, you'll be able to distinguish between the difference of the environment that I'm in.
Yes.
How I react when I'm with my peers is not how I react when I'm with the presence of. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So self-awareness is key. Number 2 it allows you to communicate more clearly with your partner. Now, that is the context of a relationship.
Yeah.
Do you know there are people who are married, but yes, they have nothing in common. They cannot have a conversation about current events. They cannot have a conversation about stuff, which is sad. Because if all you talk about is Timothy
Yeah.
that's really not.
I
You know, you
know.
need to be able to, as much as you love us, you need to have a rapport and really critically, look at a situation. Are you in agreement?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Number three, the purpose of self-awareness is that it allows you again to be more open and more loving because you have empathy.
Yes.
Isn't it? Eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
For example, I am an advocate when it comes to I have done those personality tests, the 16 personality tests. I've done them, and I am an INFJ.
Okay, explain that a little bit.
So an INFJ is one, I'm introverted, and then I'm intuitive, and then feelings, they are way up there,
Yeah.
and then also can be judgmental.
Wow.
Actually, there was a time in my life I wanted to pursue law, to be honest, even
Really?
before I knew anything about personality tests.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that means that I might fail in terms of being empathetic if I do not know myself.
True.
But because I know myself,
Yeah.
I tend to shut that out a little bit when I need to.
Yeah.
When I don't need to be judgmental, I shut it out because I'm aware that it's innate, you know? So I'm able to interact with people because I know in this environment what I need to bring out more is my feelings.
Absolutely.
In this environment what I need to bring out more is judgment.
Yeah.
In this environment where what I need to do more is my intuition should help me,
True.
you know, survive in this environment. So in relationships now, when you're talking to your partner, for example, you understand who your partner is,
Yeah.
and you understand who you are.
Yeah.
You understand why you see certain things the way you see them,
Yeah.
and why they see certain. So understanding comes in, and when understanding comes in, you don't have to see things the same way,
Absolutely.
but you'll be able to find a middle ground just because you
can
understand
choose
one
to agree
another.
to disagree.
Yes.
And still maintain civility in your relationship.
Peace, joy.
Yeah.
You will manage to do that.
Yeah.
But if you're not aware of some of these things,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, Edwin, the saddest part is that people are not ready to do the work.
Absolutely.
And if, I don't know who said these words, but they said that if you're disciplined, you're free. That means you can escape the work all you want, whether in relationships, whether in your career, whether in bringing up your children. You can escape the work,
Yeah.
but you're not free. You're a slave if you're running away from work,
Yeah.
right? So work means working on yourself, working on your relationship, working on how you think. If you're a toxic person, knowing that I'm a toxic person, I need to change. So if you're not disciplined, you're not free.
That is amazing. And
Yeah.
what a way to close the show. Now, Rosalind, you are so resourceful.
Thank
It
you.
was such a joy to have you in our show today. And I can guarantee you this is not the last time.
Thank you. I'd be happy to come
there's
back.
so much more we need to talk about. But again, in Greek, they say,
True.
So, look, again, if you want to get a hold of Rosalind Wanjiko, she's on YouTube, Rosalind Wanjiko Official.
Yes.
In Instagram is the Designated Therapist. And in Facebook is Rosalind Wanjiko.
Yes.
All this content is in all her social media apps. And here from Tai Worldwide Ministry, we want to say that we love you. We appreciate you. The reason why we do what we do is because of you. Now, these shows are designed so that we may give you information and knowledge so that it can facilitate your personal growth and development. Please kindly text us, call us, inbox us, and tell us if this show is a blessing to you. And remember, our show airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 6:30 p.m. all the way to 8 p.m. at Tai Worldwide Ministry. Now, I want to leave you with this. It is very, very important for you as a person to take the journey of personal growth and development. The most expensive thing you can do, which will cost you a lot, is to be ignorant. Ignorance is too expensive. Invest in knowledge, invest in understanding. It will allow you to be able to better articulate yourself, represent yourself, and even have a better quality of life. Hosea 4:6 says, "My people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge." You don't want to miss out on what God has for you just because you did not open a book and read it, or just because you did not go and listen to that vlog. Let us invest in personal growth and development so that we can be effective in all that God has called us to be. Now, from here, from Thai Worldwide Ministry, we want to say again, we love you, we appreciate you, and until next time, God bless you.